Especially if you're using free thread feeds, it's easy to just starting stacking them up.
Hello, and welcome to episode number 3, season 1 of your Cyber Threat Intelligence podcast. Whether you're a seasoned CTI expert, a cybersecurity professional, or simply curious about the digital battlefield, our expert guests and host will break down complex topics into actionable insights. On this episode of season 1, our host Pedro Kertzman will chat with Pedro Barros, who is a certified cybersecurity analyst with years of experience in threat intelligence, detection engineering, and incident management. He works as a security analyst and also teaches at Houston Community College, where he integrates hands-on labs and real-world case studies to prepare future professionals. Over to you, Pedro.
Pedro, thank you so much for coming to the show. It's great to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm very excited.
Awesome. And usually start asking the guests their journey, how they, got to know cyber threat intelligence, what path they had to, all the way to bring them to their current role.
Yeah.
Can you explore a little bit on that, please?
Yeah. So I started in the SOC as a junior SOC analyst, as many would, and then from there, of course, now I work as a mid-tier SOC analyst. At first, threat intelligence was kind of a daunting role for me, but the more time I spent in the field, I started noticing that I'm much more excited to kind of like a research type of work related to cybersecurity. I love incident responding. I've been doing that for basically all my career on cybersecurity, but I feel like threat intelligence is the one that touches like all other areas. And I think that's my philosophy as well when I approach threat intelligence is that I feel like threat intelligence should is one of those pillars that should support your cybersecurity operations plans and goals for either your SOC or if you are an MSP, right? Because you get to find out, okay, what's important for me, what is it that I should be looking for, why I should look for that, and how I can get those information and fit into different roles such as detection engineering, different roles of the incident response or forensics, how you can kind of come and fit into that, right? We're talking about even red teaming and purple teaming. So I think a well-seated threat intelligence role should be able to fit into many different areas of the organization.
Yeah, you touched on for me a very important point. You mentioned pillar, right? And
Mhm.
for me, I could not agree more. And I also see threat intelligence as a guidance, right? So,
Yeah.
what kind of firewall, if you will, strategy or configuration you're going to use? Nobody better than your threat intel peer
Mhm.
area, if you have one in your company, to tell you, hey, because you name it, our industry, the firewalls brands we use, so on and so forth. So because of the intel I have, you should start with these ones.
Yeah.
Right? So we have always so many stuff to do on our busy days.
Yeah.
Why not having that priority list
Yeah.
coming from our people that are deep into the weeds to understand the mindset of your adversaries, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so you mentioned your path to the cyber threat intelligence role,
Mhm.
and would you have any recommendations for people also looking at moving or starting their career into CTI?
Yes. So like I said, right, CTI, mean, it should touch basically every other area of cybersecurity, and I think you can thrive more in this role if you understand the fundamentals of incident responding, forensics, detection engineering, vulnerability management, identity access management, IAM. And if you get those fundamentals, I think you will better fit into the role of threat intelligence. Like I said, you are supposed to basically kind of like come and make sure you are helping the team being better and focusing on the things that matter for the company, right? whether this like the vulnerability management, and many of these roles, in fact, they already kind of do some kind of a threat intelligence as well, right? Vulnerability management, they also want to make sure, okay, should we really be concerned about this vulnerability right now? Is it something that is being exploited in the wild, right? So you would either have them kind of performing a little bits of this role, right? You talk about detection engineering. They want to be interested as well. Okay, is this detection something that we really need? Like, depending on your environment, whether it's Windows, what type of system that you're using, does it really matter to us? So if you have understanding of those different roles, kind of like the fundamentals, I think it will be much easier for you to transition into threat intelligence and be able to, bridge that gap that exists between those different roles.
Excellent. Thank you. Very insightful. And you mentioned your role, right? Can you expand a little bit more about your role, some of the things you do on your current role?
Yeah, so I currently, my main responsibility, that, and I say that this is basically what I was hired for, is incident responding, right? But I work in a corp SOC, which means basically it's not an MSP, right? It's not managed service security service provider. So I have certain responsibility that, of course, of that of as well security engineering, detection engineering, and basically reaching out to different stakeholders at the companies, see what's bad, things that we are finding, and kind of like help them understand why this is bad and where we should move. Like, let's say we found uh, a server that is supposed that is being that's hosting a service that perhaps is vulnerable, or that is transmitting data in clear text. We want to make sure, hey, can we work on this so that we close this port and start using this port, because this port can provide more security, and kind of walk with them as well. Like, okay, through the step of the implementations and testing, and until things are good. Besides that, of course, some responsibility, of course, were being added, in a sense, like, something came up, you know how to do it, you start doing it, right? That's basically as well, like, kind of like how I got into my responsibilities doing threat intelligence for my current position as well.
Awesome. And any experiences, recent experiences you had working with threat intel feeds, for example, good, bad, ugly, any advice around that?
Yes. Um, I have a big hick when it comes to combo lists, right? And I like to say that combo list is like Powerpuff Girls. There is a guy, the professor, who basically created Powerpuff Girls, and the way that starts the show is basically him making the potion, right? It goes sugar, butter, and everything nice, and then he puts a chemical X, and it explodes. The Powerpuff Girls come to existence. I feel like combo list is just like someone threat actor going, okay, I got this emails, I got this PII, and I got this hashes and for password hashes, and then it just bring like all from every other breach that has happened like in the past, and that's what combo list is. And when you have a thread feed that is literally looking into that very heavily, right? Whatever new combo list that comes up, guess what? They're gonna feed onto that data into their system, and they start alerting. Hey, we found a bunch of emails. We found 100 emails from your company on this combo list. And then when you start investigating that combo list, and you start finding out, wait, these things are from breach that happened 5 years ago,
Mm.
right? 7 years ago. There is the fear of any like password reuse. But when you look into a breach that has happened 5 years ago, most of the time you have moved on from that, right? At least if you are implementing a good password policies. So that's kind of like my bad experience with some of the threat feeds that you might find out there. They just start generating alerts, and it creates certain panic that is not there, right? And then of course you have those good ones where you actually find like complete, what I call complete threat intelligence, where they are not just feeding onto those data by just looking at their emails or password hashes,
Okay.
right? If the data has more information in there that can identify where that breach occur, they will look into those, and they will let you know, here's when we think this breach happened. We think this is coming from a breach that was reported perhaps 2 years ago, because the data sets look similar to this. They find some commonality into those data sets and make their own assumptions based on that. I think that is more well equipped so that you have an idea, okay, whether this is gonna be actionable or not, right? Instead of just having alerts that is just, because someone can just grab another list of emails and password from a previous breach,
Mhm.
combine them, and then post it on some kind of a dark web forum, and of course your feeders are gonna take it and then just generate more alerts. So that's why I'm very like much against like combo lists and just using email and password to create alerts.
Yeah,
If you're gonna give me some intelligence, do some more work on it and then send it, and then I'll see if
yeah.
it's good.
No,
Yeah.
that makes sense. And so you mentioned what I would understand as like it got to be that three characteristics of any good CTI: timely, relevant, and accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If people are like just creating a big feed, but it's actually almost like a repository of historical. It's
Yeah. Breaches.
false
Yeah.
positives and noise that it's not super timely to action upon. Uh,
Yeah. And that's like very like the basics of threat intelligence, right? If is the data accurate? Is it timely? Is it relevant to you? So I think those questions should still be applied. And one thing that I feel like we don't talk much as well is it is like threat feeds evaluation, right?
hmm,
You got this. You're using this product, using their threat intelligence feed. um, how often do you evaluate whether how much false positive has generated, how much the data that it has alerts that it has generated is relevant to you or not,
hmm,
and how timely that is, right?
hmm.
So I think those are some things that we need to, yes, kind of talk about more when it comes to threat intelligence, so that we evaluate and if we're doing that and making those conversations as well with those threat intelligence feed providers, I think they will also start looking to more. You know what? We should really start, looking more into our product, see how we can better our product, what our customers are saying about what we feed them.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love this like win-win type of.
Yeah.
So you're mentioning about evaluating, right, the threat feeds or the threat intel you're receiving. Can you expand a little bit more on that, please?
Yes. So I think we should start evaluating more, the value of itself, like of the threat feeds that we have. And I think that should be something that either is done quarterly or every 6 months, or I guess how comfortable you decide to be, maybe at once a year. But I think quarterly or every 6 months would be a better place to be there. And that's just so you being a intelligence analyst on the receiving end, and you're feeding intelligence as well to others, or you are creating a workflow that will trigger alert for the SOC, right? For your analyst to look into the SIM, right? You analyze the threat by you yourself looking into the data that is coming, right? You analyze the threat feed by looking into of the data that is coming, but also by taking input from the team that you're serving inside your company, right? How does the SOC feels like? How do the analysts feel like when those alerts are coming? Are they complete? Do they have to do a lot more work to understand why this is an alert, why this matters, right? If you're creating a alert based off that, you also, it would be a good idea so to kind of provide like certain things that they should be looking for. If that is missing, talk with them. Okay, what do you think you want to see when that alert comes on that single plain pane of glass that you're basically kind of looking at the alert? What matters more to you? And have you seen this on the alerts when they pop up, or is this something that you have to search more? Right? You go into the detection engineering team, get the feedback from them. Is this valuable? Those let's say perhaps you bringing some kind of Yara rules that you find, hey, perhaps this is interesting, and then you want perhaps your team to kind of like work and find a way to to transfer that into their SIM technology or whatever technology that they are using. And even from a vulnerability management standpoint, right? How are they getting informed more about those vulnerabilities that they are trying to patch and mitigate, right? Do you provide some kind of more insight? Do you help them make their decisions easier when it comes to that? So there is the one side where you have to actually kind of like go and look into the data that you're receiving, see perhaps what's missing there, what's good, and if you are distilling that information to other roles or departments in your company, get the feedback from them as well. Ask them whether that data is valuable or it's just something that perhaps they see. Oh, there's one more came in, right? So I think looking to evaluation in that way will be a great way to approach it.
Yeah, just listening to what you're saying, it feels that we might benefit from having, for example, like an evaluation matrix for feeds, data feeds. I don't know, maybe parameters like completeness of the information, or you name it, timeliness, so on and so forth, to actually help judge, filter what is the best feeds I have, the most important ones, the ones that are actually making my analysts spend more time to actually come up or make sense of that not as complete or accurate information. Maybe it could be something that, I don't know, maybe somebody will build something like that in the future to help the industry in general.
Yeah, that's a good idea because I never thought about even just creating a metrics, but it would be interesting to look into that and see if something could be created so that people can have something to use as a reference when evaluating data feeds. Yeah.
Yeah, funny enough, a few months ago, I was putting together a presentation for like college students. I was doing a presentation on a college here, and talking about the industry, tell them a little bit about the history around threat intelligence, and actually, I realized that most of the security vendors, the big vendors that we know out there, you name it, firewall vendors, endpoint security vendors out there, they always had some sort of internal cyber threat intelligence practice, and they used to use that to be able to have like a good, let's say, off-the-shelf products to pump into that information into their, again, firewalls, endpoints, and so on. But they never realized that at some point, and that probably happened, I don't know, anywhere between 5 and 10 years, we started seeing some more focused boutique-ish players, you name it, scraping dark web and then creating feeds out of it, or collecting whatever other type of telemetry or intel and creating packages specifically to sell cyber threat intelligence, and then those, let's say, big players that had that internal knowledge but never thought that could actually be like a product and another subset of the industry, if you will. They were like, oh wow, wait up, we can do this, we have this knowledge internally. So now all those big players decided to also create their threat intel offerings, and the market is, as you know, right now clogged with so many offerings, feeds all over the place, right? So it's hard to judge and what's the best one for me. So you got to put a lot of work to make sense of what's the actual information that you need.
Yeah, especially if you're using free thread feeds, it's easy to just starting stacking them up, right? If you're not really looking much into why you want to collect that specific data. Oh, just another one. Oh, yeah, this happened, but we missed from those, let's say, 15 data feeds that we already have. We didn't get that information, but there's this one that we saw that provided that information. You know what? Let's add that to the list. It just starts piling up, and sometimes it becomes like in the question, of course, even of course the data ingestion into the SIMs, right? How much are you gonna keep pulling, and just if you're not evaluating as well, you got to deal with storage as well when it comes to many SIMs, not just ingestion, how much data you bringing in, but also how much you're saving, for how long you're keeping those data as well. So it can become, in a sense, just expensive for nothing. Um, And one other thing as well, now that you mentioned when you were starting up, is that I feel like threat intelligence, I think the way that we are right now, even in schools and colleges, it should become like a class of their own. I think at this point that should have been like a, there are many more colleges and universities that are creating cybersecurity curriculum, but most of the time you won't see any course related to threat intelligence. And I just started wondering why that is. And I think we are at a time where it's something that we think is important and that it has matured enough to that point where we should have something related to that.
Yeah, I could not agree more. That's why I reach out to colleges and other institutions that have cybersecurity programs to see if they have already anything related to CTI. If not, if they're interested to listen to anybody talking about that topic with their students, just to create more awareness around this important part of the industry. Which kind of reminds me of a topic as well. We do have a fair amount of open source slash free CTI feeds out there, but sometimes the quality, like you mentioned, right? You could, because we don't have like a huge amount of people behind that feed, making sure timely the information is relevant, so on and so forth. Uh, the flip side of it will be the analysts or the teams relying on that information having to work a lot more just to make sense of that information popping into their systems. Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I heard you recently spoke on another cyber threat intelligence conference. Can you just mention a little bit how was it? Some good insights from it?
Yes, this was actually my first speaking of engagement opportunity ever. There's actually one more coming up. Won't be necessarily on cyber threat intelligence, but it was super good. I remember coming into the night at the hotel and just seeing some guys hanging on the lobby. I was like, you know what? Let me go introduce myself to those people. And I went and introduced myself. Guess what? There, some of them were actually people who were at the board, the ones who decided which talks they're gonna accept and which one they're not. So they were very excited for my talk, and that kind of encouraged me. I had a lot of stress, being there, first time speaker, but it was really just amazing. The only thing that of bad that happened, and it's nothing to do with the conference. I discovered that I guess I'm very sensible to lights. So those stage light at the end of my talk, it caused me an immense headache.
Oh no.
Yeah. But overall, the conference was amazing. It was a great experience. I would recommend to people to join conferences and go listen to other people. And if you have something that you want to talk about, submit your call for paper and see if it's gonna be accepted or not. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, that's for me probably one of my favorite parts within the industry, especially in the CTI. Overall in cybersecurity, we see that, but especially on CTI, the amount of collaboration, right? Because we know and across so many, you name it, literature we have, forums, blogs, you name it. We always hear about, even though I'm going to name an industry, could be so many others, even banks in theory, from a sales and marketing perspective, they're competitors, but like when it comes to operations, especially cybersecurity and cyber threat intelligence, they need to forget this competitor mindset and collaborate. If we don't do that, we're always going to be outnumbered, because threat actors do that, right?
Yeah, they do that. And they're
Yeah, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, and they are well motivated to do that, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes it's just I guess the promise of a great financial gain from whatever they're gonna do, or if they're already even being paid, right? Talking about advanced persistent threat, if they're already being paid by perhaps the government or something like that, so they're well motivated to continue to share.
exactly. That's why we need to really get together to flip the table, get ahead of these guys. Otherwise, it's always going to be this night
Yeah.
that sometimes we see.
Sure.
Oh, that's in talking about collaboration and studying and references and stuff. Any blogs or books or references that you use to update your knowledge?
Yes. One of my favorite books so far when it comes to threat intelligence is Visual Threat Intelligence by Thomas Rosia. I hope I'm not butchering his name.
Hmm.
Um, it's great. It touches the fundamentals so well, and the graphics in it, it's just the book in itself, it looks like a comic, but the graphics in it, just helps you understand those concepts much better. I think I read that book. I started reading it like on one day, and I finished it on one day because it was that good. It was just that good. I was just like, I was not getting tired. I was excited. The more pages I flip is just so good. So much fundamentals in there, and it provides so much resources on how to do things and where to find them as well. So that's my main one to go. Now there is one that I find it very interesting as well. I think in the sense it's futuristic because it talks a lot about AI. It's by Justin Hutchins, The Language of Deception, weaponizing next generation AI. It's so good. It touches many aspects of threat intelligence that I think it will be a wonderful read.
Okay, okay, that's awesome. And it's still about reading materials and um, upgrading your knowledge per se. What about your knowledge? Is there you have any ways you share articles, write stuff, or conferences you talk if people want to learn more from you? Is there anywhere they should go?
Yes, I have a blog of mine. It's called pemblabs.net. That's PEMB labs, LABS, pemblabs.net. That's where I share my articles, and I'm actually gonna post something soon that I think is gonna be very interesting read as well
Hmm.
about an infrastructure that I was able to track down, and you know, and it got me to that question of also kind of the ethics on reporting, when you should report something when you find it as well. So I ended up finding this malicious infrastructure that it ended up becoming a big campaign. But yeah, I was before reporting it, I decided, okay, let me spend some more days into this, really dig into it, then do a lot of OSINT as well into that. Ended up finding more. It started from GitHub, went into certain pages. It went into one phishing pages to about five phishing pages, and we're talking about he did something very interesting that I thought it was just like, oh, why is he doing this? Is that it was so targeted that it will only get you to those phishing page landing page if you are part of that email list that he wanted to target. So you wouldn't get to that landing page if you were not part of it. So it's just funny, interesting. And one other infrastructure ended up leading to one of his Telegram bots. So I was very excited of that. Did a lot of OSINT on those Telegram bots that I haven't done before in the past. So it was just fascinating. So I'll be sharing there on my blog. That's again pemblabs.net. That's where I normally write my stuff. So far, I don't have much written, but there are already some posts in there, and I'm very hopeful that I'll finish writing this one and probably be up by the weekend.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Hmm.
Yeah, and one question I'd like to ask all our guests is that, from all the knowledge you acquired throughout your career, especially on the CTI area,
Yeah.
is there anything that you know today that you wish you knew on the very beginning when you started on the CTI industry?
Yes. I would say so. The way I look into CTI, right? Touching into different roles. One that I like the most is when I get to do malware analysis or reverse engineering. And if one thing I regretted is to kind of skip a lot of data structures and system engineerings.
Hmm.
Right. I feel like if I had spent more times getting understanding fundamentals of that, it would make my work as a when I'm analyzing a malware much more easier, right? Understanding the system calls and those functions that you already have there in Windows or Linux, how they are borrowed from different libraries to use them and to to basically perform those actions that they're looking for.
Mhm.
I feel like if I spend more time, I'm gonna be spending some more time during this year reading a lot more into system engineering and understanding the file structure as well. So those are some of those things that I look back. I was like, man, I wish I could have spent more time into that.
Awesome. So I guess it's also some good recommendations on next steps for people looking for topics that will help them to be a better threat intelligence unit and so on.
Yeah.
Pedro, thank you so much for coming to the show. I really appreciate all the insights, and I hope I'll see you around.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we both speak Portuguese. We just learned that, so that's awesome. I'm very just glad to have met you and have this opportunity to be here with you. It was really good.
Same name, same industry, same mother language. Oh my goodness, nobody's gonna ever beat that one. Thanks again.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in. If you found this episode valuable, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review. Got thoughts or questions? Connect with us on our LinkedIn group, Cyber Threat Intelligence Podcast. We'd love to hear from you. If you know anyone with CTI expertise that would like to be interviewed in the show, just let us know. Until next time, stay sharp and stay secure.